Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, thinking proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with another show, another episode. Of course, you know where you're at. You're at Spartan SQ Network, the greatest show of Saturday nights right now. But we have a question to answer. Who remembers the war of the consoles? Sega versus Nintendo, or Nintendo versus Sega, however you want to call it. Some people think Sega low blow Nintendo and vice versa, whatever you want to go. But it was such a unique battle. It was a great time to grow up as a kid, knowing those two things are going on. I remember going to school, arguing with people. Oh, I got a Nintendo, I got a Sega. Which one's better? But if you were the lucky kid, have both, everybody was jealous of you. But I can't do this by myself. Before we move on, guys, please do me a favor. You have not yet subbed to the channel. Please do. If you haven't, you better. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe. And last and foremost, I got to bring my little buddy, my little pain in my ass, little Groot. Really? You sound like you're snoring, Yogi Bear.
I know Yogi Bear, African Grizzly Bear. Get the soundtrack correct before I show my face.
Turn the camera on first.
There's nothing little about
Turn
me.
the camera on first. You know my rule.
First and foremost, there's nothing little about me, but you know my rule. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the big pain in the ass, not the little pain in the ass. I'm too damn big to be a little pain in the
I
ass.
said big pain in the ass first.
That
Let's
is
get it right,
correct.
fuckface. I said big pain in my ass.
Oh, if I'm the fuck fan, I'm going to tell all your girlfriend, right?
Well, go ahead, take them. Take all my ex-girlfriends. You have no idea what you get yourself into.
Nah, I
That's
won't
why they're
take
my
them.
exes. So be
No,
my guest.
no. If I take him, If I take them, I'll deport them back to my country. There'll be
Be my
plenty of
guest.
use for
Take
them.
the crazy bitches. I'm not gonna fucking argue there.
Yeah, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, if I take them, they'll be deported into my country. They'll get domesticated.
Again, take them. Take them. They're all yours. I'm not arguing one bit. You can have
Yeah, I'm just saying what I'm just saying what I'm saying.
them.
Cause we funny over there in our country. When you come on our turf, everything different.
Anyway, my man, how you been today?
My body was shutting down throughout all day. I was sleeping a lot.
I told you stop thinking. You're gonna hurt yourself eventually.
Dude, I can't shut my brain off. Hello, I'm a nerd. Your brain does not stop. That's the disadvantage of being a damn nerd. You're always constantly thinking. You're always constantly worrying about a lot of things. You're always constantly like put yourself through the ringer. So yeah, I gotta worry about how this idiot, this retard in chief, will fire someone who's still in the job
No
market this week.
politics.
I'm not taking politics. I'm just saying this. Let's make it make sense. Why fire someone who is not working for the news media, working for the labor department, and she projected the information that is documented, mind you. And because the job number is so low, you will fire her for putting out the truth of what's going on in the country, and you call her fake. Like you call your Department of Labor administrator fake news. Make it make sense. I'm not being political about it. I'm just calling the obvious. Like, is this country being run by a retard? He passed the level of being an idiot, not a retard now? Like, you serious? If we're running out of oil and they say we're running out of oil, you will fire me for telling you the truth? I'm not talking politics. I'm just talking reality. Like,
All right. We're not having any of those negative bullshit tonight. We're gonna have a little fun.
I know.
You,
I know
Mr.
I'm trying to.
Sourpuss over there.
I'm not sourpuss. I'm more like, put me in the UFC case, I'll be happy. Let me knock
All
somebody out.
right, you gave me no choice.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, I'm blazing middle
All
finger.
right, I'm gonna start putting a new rule for you. Saturday nights, we don't talk about that
Well,
shit. This is fun time.
I know.
This is the hangout. Operation Hangout. Have fun.
I would be right now
You're
on
lucky
my
you're not next to me because I
PS4,
would have choke slammed the shit out of you at this point, and you know I could.
and I would have power about me. I was like,
Then
last
I'll
ride.
fart on your face.
Yay!
As you pick me up, I just fart.
Don't worry. I would have done a week of chill on you.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, David. We're talking about the mega battle of a battle. This is an icon
Mega
war,
battle.
and people
They were petty
people still
battles.
talk about this war. And some people think it's still going on because technically it is. It hasn't ended because Sega may not be making console, but it still makes games. Before we get to that,
No, what?
yeah, Sega makes games.
It did. Yes, it made games, but this was the console war. You didn't talk about the game war. They lost the console
Hang
war.
on, hey, we'll get into that.
Oh yeah.
Egg, what's going on, my
but
man?
not in that way.
Before we get into that part, we're going to get into it. Give me opening thoughts about Sega versus Nintendo. The fight of fights.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be fair with you. I was the all-time Nintendo fanboy. I supported the Nintendo era from Nintendo to Super Nintendo to Game Boy. I never crossed party line to go over to the Sega turf. I was picked on in high school being a Nintendo boy. So I was the old school, die hard, never gonna give up Nintendo fanboy. I remember the commercials, if you have the videos, on the disrespect that Sega was giving Nintendo. I remember those good old days. That petty war was so heavy, it transcended elementary school, middle school, and high school, even to the college days. If you're my age group, 40 plus, and you were here during the petty console war between both consoles, then you know how petty it got. If you were one of those type of person that you at home and you part of the Nintendo crew, and you're clapping like, you got a Nintendo? Man, F that. I gotta say, that argument never ended. It was petty, it was long lasting, it was annoying. Yes, it was funny. But here's the fun part. There was some cool game on Sega side, but there's also some cool game on Nintendo side. So we were picking and choosing which game was better on what side at one point. Let's not forget, we had Street Fighter. We was enjoying it. Sega didn't have it at one point until they make it whereby it worked on both ends. We were like, really? We'll be on our side. You put to the point of Nintendo. See, even Eric said that. I thought it was Nintendo, then got converted, plug in. See, he played both sides. He was a double agent. People like him, we call double agent. They playing
We're
both
going to
sides
get
of the
into
field.
that in a minute. Just finish your thoughts because you like square,
So,
square.
no, I'm more into Nintendo. To play action football, to play Mario Bros, Street Fighter. We played Mortal Kombat on Nintendo. There was a lot of cool game on Nintendo. They had a long library. Let's not forget, there was a lot of games that I want to get hold of, which in Japan, that was under Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make Nintendo way more popular than Sega. Sega didn't have no ground in Japan. Sega was here, all US. To the day I die, I'm still a Nintendo boy. That's just it.
So, do you still play Nintendo to this day?
Right now, I'm on PlayStation 4 Pro. I don't have no Nintendo console, sadly.
Okay, so really fast, a little history from you guys don't know. In Japan, Nintendo was not called Nintendo. Actually, it's called Family
Um,
Computer or the Famicom for short. In Japan,
mhm.
Nintendo is a company that actually makes the product. So we call it Nintendo here because we're American. We're just making things a lot easier for us. So
Mhm.
I was a very young age a Super Mario fan. I used to love Mario Brothers. I used to go ape shit for Mario Brothers. Mario Bros. 3 was my shit as a kid. But I did play those Sega. I never owned a Sega to recently. On the other side of the wall, I go grabbing in a little bit. I do have a Sega and a Super Nintendo. So, by that said, there are more. I believe, and Eric, please jump in a minute and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Nintendo has more games than Sega. I'm not 100% positive on that. I'm like 50% positive on that. But there are a few games that the first time they go back then it was not called cross-platform, but it is technically cross-platform. What I mean by that is you have Sega game Street Fighter on both consoles, right, Eric? I mean, David.
Yeah, to the do it.
Then you had Mortal Kombat on both consoles. To was
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat on both? I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm trying to double check on it right now as you speak when you're talking because
Double
correctly,
Dragon was
yes.
definitely Double Dragon. I think first it came out to Sega, then it later on came to Nintendo. But I do remember Battle Ball was on both consoles.
Mhm.
Double Dragon was on. There were a few games that were on both consoles, but it depends which version you got, Nintendo's or Sega. Sega sometimes was a harder game to play.
That's due to the faster processor.
Oh yeah, Sega had a faster processor, 100%. Not denying that one bit.
Oh wow. So here's the thing. I had to tell my assistant to give me the lowdown. Now, I want you to hear very carefully, ladies and gentlemen.
Hmm.
Nintendo, total game by console, right? Nintendo on the US soil was 715 games. was made for Nintendo. For the Famicom in Japan was 1,050. Compared to Sega console, Sega One SG-1000 was 80 games. Super Nintendo Super Famicom 725 in US, 1,450 in Japan. For Master System, and he added with for Master System was 360. Sega Genesis Mega Drive was 900. Nintendo 64 was 393. Sega CD 150. For GameCube 650 games.
David, come back to the camera. You're way off camera.
Like I'm reading that part, I'm reading it. Sorry. Forgive me for looking in. For
Okay.
Sega 32X was 40, Sega Saturn was 600, Sega Dreamcast was 720. But when I look at from GameCube was 650, the Wii was 1,540, the Wii U was 790. Look at that number. Now the Switch, which is up to date right now, digitally is unheard of. 10,000 plus games have been made.
Digital is a whole different ball game. We'll get to that towards later on in the show, and
Mhm.
that's a cheat code for them. Let's be honest here.
You hear that? Sega complaining. That's a cheat. Yeah. About to Nintendo Boy rocks.
No, think about it, bro. Like, I'll get into it one quick. I'll say one thing and then move on from that. I want to get back to this later on to the topic later. It
Okay.
is a cheat code because you can put out a game any. I don't care what platform you're playing on. I don't care if you're playing on Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever you're playing, PC. They can release the game broken, non-complete, ship it out, or download it and
Hmm.
fix it on day one with a patch. Do I need to say more?
Well, that is the perks of Japanese developers.
Japanese,
Well,
only Japanese developers, all the developers, even American. I don't care. You're American, Indian, African. I don't give a shit where you're from. All
mhm,
developers do it, bro. Every single one.
that is true. That is very, very true. But let's be honest. There have been a thing ongoing from both consoles, which is based on platform use, well, the specs that allow developers to make the kind of game they want to make. What are the ranges and what are the restrictions? If I'm correct, Nintendo gave developer a lot of range to make all kind of games and then some. And they were giving like everyone understand the control war. The control that we use is different than the developer control they give to developer to play, tinker with, and see what kind of game they can be produced. And I hate to say that I think Nintendo give developer far more room to play around with more than
As
Sega.
developer wise,
Look, let's be honest. When it comes to producing game, how far would the reach for game development? Yeah, look, I gotta look at it from the developer point of view. I'm an IT guy. When you work in corporate America, you get developer stuff to work with. They will ask you, what are you offering? What are the specs? What can we use? What can I use? In some places, some company limit what a developer can use to develop what kind of application they can develop. In some places, I've seen where the Lord was giving a set margin to work around with. In some other company, they expand the margin for them. And I see their mindset. So when you work with these type of people, aka developers, whose job is to develop software, to perfect the software, to create new software, and you're all about rationing what they can or cannot use, you limit how far they can go. But when you're in another company, you see that this company says, okay, let me know what you need, then we get it for you. Or I need this spec. Okay, fine. Boom. You give them enough range to have what they call AKA wiggle room to do what they do their magic. So imagine as a developer when you're out there and you have a team that design game and you You're not given a timeline, but you allow you to work the way you want to work. For example, Final Fantasy game take almost a year plus to develop because they have a team who will make sure they make a creative genius. But I guess Salah did the same exact thing. They weren't in a rush to make the game. They were actually working their butt off to build such games. So imagine you a company that wants the best of the best game to come, and you focus on better graphic, better sound. That was Nintendo, and you want to make sure the game is so crisp and so good on your console. You're not worried about it. Sega would have be a faster processor, yet they have to speed everything. But some game work well on Sega, some game work well on Nintendo. If you want to be honest about it, but there's some games that ported on both consoles, and there's many times they did comparison. You look at the graphic, look at the quality, you start to see it. This is why what I say when it comes to the console war was ugly, ugly, ugly. And we had either you were a preteen or you were a teenager, you were aware of it. The biggest critics were the youngest generation. Talk about the preteen, the teen. They were calling things out. If there was a glitch, you would know it. There was a lot of glitch in the Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3 game. And we to call out plenty of times. There's a trick around those glitch whereby
Oh,
it couple.
look at the original Nintendo, original Mario game.
Hmm.
It's like a level called minus one world, and if you know how to get there, it's a trick to remember which level it is. You have to squat jump, and it catches you in the wall. Then you go down to
Hmm.
the what's called tube,
Hmm.
and you go through the level, and you repeat it again and again. And once you get stuck at that, you got to reset the whole game.
And here's the thing that created the gamer the gamer arena of teenagers because anyone from the Nintendo/Famicom to Sega era, it created a level of nerds who were very key to certain things they were seeing and word of mouth. Oh, do you know if you do Equa, you really sure about it? You write it down, we go home, we try that stuff. We're like, yo, yeah, we did it. We did it. This what happened. They were the thing of before the internet came out, we were going back and forth sharing information among peers. You know someone that
Oh
knows
yeah,
someone
there
knows
were even gaming guys back then, if you remember those.
someone. Hmm.
And Power Nintendo, I think it was one of the magazines.
Yeah. Whoa, power. No, that I hate to say that Power Nintendo made a lot of money because a lot of people were emailing or writing letters of what they
Email
have done.
was a thing back then.
No, sorry, correction, not emailing. They were writing letters to Power Nintendo, what they done, what trick they pull out, and that was the thing that was going on. People was dropping. When I'm saying long before the internet, Power no with Power Nintendo, the one other magazine that was out there. There one time before the internet even came to be, you had to go down to the GameStop and buy the guide to the game you want to play.
It was before GameStop. That is. Remember, it was Funkoland before it was GameStop.
Funko, yeah. I'm talking about we get there's other people here to be talking about it right now to jump on the board because they don't know
Yeah.
small thing.
Hang on there. Time out a second. Time out. Guys, I have posted the link in the chat. If you'd like to join this conversation, please join us. I ask very simple things. Please be respectful. Please have your camera on, and of course, you need a mic. You could do it through your iPhones, Android, or whatever you have. But we look forward to you guys coming on. I have some videos to play in a minute. So jump on. So
I'm glad you mentioned them because I'm trying to remember everything when you go to those Super Famicom store. The Power Nintendo magazine was a big, big, big deal because there was stuff that you were double checking and see what they say is correct or it is false. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, being my cousin, we will highlight, we try this one, we try the one we don't know that works, and we like, no, this didn't work, but this works. And sometimes if you want to take pictures, picture isn't gonna work for you. If you got to do dirty, you have to tell that page, write a letter, madam, this does not work. This works. And you put in the command what you done X1. That was a thing that was going on back then. I'm telling you because of the gaming in the introduction on Super Nintendo, Sega, politician, parent thinking that they were destroying kids, not realizing we're creating another generation of future gamer, future developer, future software developer. Because the thing about it is, all is software will being built. And I recall some of us were looking for a chance to get into game developing. All the school back then to be all in Canada at one point at a time when I was in what I was in PS I was in PS 20, yes, I remember. I was in PS 20 when we used to talk about Vongo the game and we were researching it and we found out on Utontom game magazines there are schools in Canada. I was like, oh, you gotta fly out to Canada to learn how to build games. It was never in the US. It was never here at all at a time. It was later on they
One
started to
time,
move.
yeah, one time. That it sounds pretty right.
Yeah, at one time with Devil Hill was always in Canada or you go to Japan. Then later on, they realized the market there was a market for gaming because besides kids that were getting into game, the adult was getting into game as well. They started to realize they were a good pastime. They was like a stress reliever. Street Fighter. Shh. If you're not playing that at home on your console, you're play that at the arcades. And here's the funny part about it. When they port the game for both consoles, the control was never the same. What command we used on a Nintendo Super Nintendo was different on the Sega side of things. That was a back and forth. So you can imagine how we do this XYZ. We go in the console. What we do on Nintendo work on the arcade. When doing Sega, half. So you can imagine some of the confusion was going on. Because the Sega controller was definitely with Nintendo controllers. At one point they were trying to copy it. That didn't happen. So the main console was both between Nintendo and Sega at first, before you had other invader that came into the game. But Nintendo and Famicom, they made the most money. If you actually really, you want to really talk the fact of it, let's go back to the information. Nintendo came in 1983 in Japan, 1985 in US. So imagine this one. They made 2 year plus of money before they released themselves in the US in 1985. Sega came, they came to Japan in 1985, but that was right after, made in 1986. But they was only stronger in the US. No, they were stronger in Europe and Brazil. But they didn't do well in Japan because they came to the wrong turf. Now, everybody who was into Super Mario Brothers, Zelda, and Metroid, those were the three top games that were making money for Nintendo. And the market share, according to my assistant, 90% of home console market. Imagine that. Nintendo was a beast in the
Nintendo,
early 80s.
yes, that is true because I believe Nintendo was cheaper. I can't. I am not 100% positive about that. But Nintendo, from my understanding here, so the NS Nintendo came out in 1980
Nintendo came out in
83.
1983 in Japan,
Yeah,
but in the US it came out in 1985. That was my
yes, the
assistant
year I
said.
was born actually. And Sega was released 1980.
85 in Japan, 1986 in the US.
So the one, actually no, 1983 was released in Japan.
No, that was Nintendo. Nintendo was
No,
1983.
Sega too. It was the same year they got released in Japan.
No, no. My sister said 1985 Japan,
I'm looking
1986
directly
in
from
the
Sega.
US. Master System.
Yeah.
I'll copy it and paste it in the chat so you can see for yourself. I don't have to lie about it.
No, I'm not lying. I'm just saying I think we're getting two different information. I want to get the right information to everybody out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not arguing that you know what I'm saying?
I know. If you allow me to share my screen, I can share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
You
Post it.
prefer
I
that.
don't care. I'll share your screen. I don't have a problem with that, dude. You know
Okay,
that.
no problem. Let me share my screen. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. I can get the window. You got it?
Yeah, doing it right now. Hang on. There you go.
If you look at it right there, it shows the date of the release. In Japan, JP is Japan. 1983 is under Nintendo. 1985 was under the US. Sega Master System was 1985 in Japan. 1986 in US. The market share with the show with 90% of home console market, while on the Sega only 50% stronger in US. So the 50% in US, stronger in Europe and Brazil. That means Nintendo took 90% plus out of the market share. Sega have like about 15% or more, but it was stronger in Europe and Brazil. Key game: Super Mario Bros., Zelda, Metroid. On the Sega, it's Alex Kidd and Fantasy Star. What were their strength? Remember I said before, huge library, third
I'm
party
not arguing they have a
dominance.
bigger library. I'm not
That's
arguing the
what.
fact that Nintendo have
But
more gaming
mhm,
exclusives. I'm not arguing none of that. I'm just debating on the date that was released because I'm getting a different one
mhm.
here versus you. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. That's why I abuse my
Here you go.
system and make sure
Eric
everything
is
is
our
okay.
Wikipedia here. He says
So
in the
you know,
comments they were both
I wrote
available
back into the
here in
ground.
the
I'm like, hey,
U.S.
you gonna get your job at Walter. I ain't
David, let me finish, please.
okay.
They were both available here in the U.S. around 1986 to 1987. After Paul and I graduated high school, they were what was that? I can't fucking
Respectfully,
see. Replace
respectfully,
release.
did
Thank you. So that answers our question right there, because Eric knows his history because he grew up in that history. He's a
I
dinosaur.
know. I was a kid back then when they had it out, and I was lucky. I was lucky to get a chance to have the Nintendo at home. The cartridge days when you do the blowing,
You know, it's funny, dude. I
it
just found out recently that actually hurts the system.
blowing it right,
Yep. All right,
and
let's
we
play
would.
the first video
I
we
might,
get.
I might. Oh no, not that.
All right, shut up, man. Oh, wrong button.
Whatever. Play.
Volume on. So
No,
you realize right
here's the
there.
funny thing. The verses, I know, when the GameCube versus Sega Saturn, right? That was the verses. Somehow GameCube survived,
I'm not
right?
surprised. I think GameCube was a better system.
No, but we all know you're
I
not gonna
actually
bring the
don't
third party.
remember. I actually don't remember GameCube and
I,
Saturn going head to head. I thought it was
it was no, that
that
was
came
the
out
thing.
with.
No, the person that got head to head with Sega Saturn, it wasn't GameCube. GameCube was the third wheel. They were hanging on. They stick to their turf. The person that Sega would compete with PlayStation.
I thought
I
the
remember,
Saturn. Hang on, David. Hang on. I
but
thought the Saturn came out during the PS2 era and the Xbox One era.
no, it came out
Further
with the
back.
PS1, PS2. No, PS1, PS2. When the PS1 first came out, the Sega Saturn was supposed to be the destroyer for the PS1, not knowing that the PS2 was going to hurt them. I remember when the PS2 came out in GameStop, it was on the news while they showed a bunch of people were bringing their Sega Saturn to return just to get the PlayStation 2.
I
The
remember
PlayStation 2
PlayStation. The
hurt them,
Saturn came
not
out first. I remember that, but I'm pretty sure it came
yeah.
out.
They came
Yeah,
out first. It did.
it didn't go head to head with during the GameCube.
It didn't go head to head. It went head to head with PlayStation. PlayStation said, "Oh, you want to do with us?" And now,
It
mind
wasn't
you,
even head to head.
Nintendo is from
It
where?
was a joke. Saturn was the worst system that buried them alive.
I get your point, but here's the thing: Nintendo is from Japan, right?
Yeah.
Let me type down Nintendo page. Let me see. Give me a second, guys. Complete detail
Even
on
PlayStation is also from Japan. Both the systems were
down.
from Japan.
That's what I'm trying to point
Oh,
out.
I know what happened.
It's
I
almost
know.
like saying,
I know where you're going with this. So here's the backstory between Nintendo and PlayStation, Sony. So Nintendo went to Sony and says, "Yo, let's partner up," and we want to make a disc version. I
mm-hmm,
Here's the paperwork. And like we'll get a prototype, we'll get the contracts written up. If you like the prototype, you sign the contract. One day before the contract, it was going to show the demo or the prototype, and the paperwork be signed. Nintendo ended up hooking up with Panasonic for, I believe it was a 64, if I'm not mistaken. So PlayStation goes, you know what? Fuck you. Now is war. They've already put all the development time into it. So you know what? Let's switch this around. We already have done it so far. Excuse me. We have done all this work so far.
and you're right.
Let's release it as our own. And that's the birth of
You're
PlayStation.
right. Because when I asked my assistant, they say origin of PlayStation, the Nintendo betrayal. I was like, and here are the 3 points. Late 1980, Sony collaborated with Nintendo to develop a CD-ROM add-on for the Super Nintendo SNES called PlayStation. 1991 CES, Sony announced the system, but Nintendo backed out at the last minute and partnered with Philips instead. It was Philips they partnered with, not
Okay.
yeah.
Time out a second. I want to answer this question from the reg. No, Eric, they came at different times. So Saturn, Dreamcast, or whatever it's called, came out
Mm-hmm.
first during the 64 and PS2 era, Xbox One era. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the third or fourth generation system. I can't remember which one it is on.
I believe
Um,
so.
yeah, the GameCube was like later on with PS3. Was PS3? No,
No, GameCube came after Nintendo 64.
yeah, I'm trying to
So
remember when it came out.
When GameCube came out, it's around the same time Sega Saturn was came out. It was around the same time that PlayStation 2 came out. It was PlayStation 2 that whooped Sega Saturn ass.
Now I gotta look at the fucking dates. Thanks, Eric. Now you got me freaking doing this shit.
You're doing it on your side.
He's
I'm
probably
hitting my
laughing his ass
assistant
off in there. I got it, David.
because when I look at the PlayStation came out around Japan December 3, 1994. Then it came in the
All right.
US.
GameCube came in
No,
01.
no, yes.
I'm sorry. 01. Yeah, I was right. Oh, right. So I want to see when the 64 came out. Hang on. 64.
Oh,
That came out 86. 96. I'm sorry. Now,
PlayStation 2 came out in Japan March 4, 2000, but in the US October 26, 2000. That's months later.
Dreamcast
PlayStation 1.
came Dreamcast came in 1999. So
So
technically, the Dreamcast had a war between the 64 and the GameCube because it was in the middle, but it flopped completely. We all know that.
Mhm,
But you got to give Nintendo, Sega credit for one thing. If you remember the Saturn, if they
mhm,
also had an add-on, the CD version,
mhm.
Sega CD, and that was a pretty good system for the time being, bro.
It was. But here's the thing. The Sega marketing scheme is all about the faster processor, right? That's always been the Sega marketing scheme. You want to put it out there. The Tango marketing scheme, what about having a faster processor? It's about having better graphics.
Which one was this again?
Where? I tell
What
them,
system are you talking about?
I'm talking about the whole Sega Saturn, the whole Sega marketing for every console. I'm talking about you have better spec for faster graphics, right? But Nintendo is all about having great sounds, great graphic, but not being fast. I remember they had a commercial. I know you not seen the commercial on TV several times. This is Super Nintendo. They put Super Nintendo on top of in the back of an ice cream truck, right?
I briefly remember that. Again, I'm a little
I
young.
remember I remember that commercial like yesterday. Everybody remember the
I'm a
commercial
little
saw on
a
TV.
lot younger than you.
They put it. They had to this Nintendo. Super Nintendo was behind the back of an icon truck, playing it strong based on its speed. Right? They put the Sega Genesis behind a drag racer, saying that this is how Nintendo is based on its speed. Because icon truck is not fast down the road. You know that. You and I both know. You could chase the icon truck down the block. Hey, 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 hey! Let me get ice cream. They will slow down for you, right? Can you chase down a drag racer down the speedway? No. So that commercial, we look it up on YouTube. look up, trust me, look up the
No,
Nintendo versus.
I know what you're talking about, David. I briefly remember about it. Yeah, I
It's
land your plane.
what I was saying. Nintendo was trying to say that. No, Sega was trying to say Nintendo is not on their level because they got not only faster graphics, faster gameplay. So it made it look like it's better to play a game system that it mess you into the speed in the game. Because Sonic was the what they call the mascot for Sega. If you're not correct.
Well, actually, if you really think about it, Sega really only had. Sega only has Sonic. Nothing else comes to memory.
Because that was their mascot. So remember,
I'm
when you play Sonic
saying,
games,
what? No, you misunderstand what I'm trying to say. When you hear Nintendo, you're thinking of Mario. You're thinking about Donkey Kong. You're thinking about
hmm
Zelda,
hmm
Metroid Prime.
hmm
That's four right there. When you hear Nintendo, I hear Sonic.
there you go, there you
And
go,
that's it.
there you go. That was the point we were talking about. The mascot. Who are the mascot for each console? For Nintendo console, have four mascots. You mentioned them all: Super Mario Bros., Donkey Kong, Zelda, and Metro. They were the four mascots of Nintendo because that's what they represent. They had a lot of games for these four brands. For
And I'm
Sega,
only hitting the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot more that my memory doesn't go to.
yeah, but then
So,
ask anybody. That's the first thing that comes to their mind. It's Sonic. Any other game, it is stand out as much as the mascot for Sega. That's the point.
yeah. So before I play the next video,
Go ahead.
again, before I want to say one comment. It's funny how Sega fails the system, but Sonic still lives on. It's multiple cartoons, movies, still making games, and that's the biggest IP for Sega right now. Because Sega's still
Uh,
around as a developer company, not a console company.
my
So,
point prove it.
yeah.
That market well for them. Sonic was the best marketing scheme for their
But
platform.
if you really think about it, like Nintendo tried Mario. The first movie was horrible. We talked about it. The second one it was okay. And we did a show. So go back and check that out, guys. Um, the shows was okay.
Yeah,
For a kid, it
but
was great.
but here's the joke. You made a movie, the last movie they made for Mario. Guess who was Mario behind? Real bad. Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong bitch slapped Mario. Said, I was the star, not you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's play the next video.
Dude, come on. You still playing a lame boy? Quit being a fart knocker and get a Game Gear already. It's got full color, a bigger screen, you can play in the dark. Heck, I can even watch TV on this thing. Honestly, I don't know why anyone would keep playing a... Oh, wait, batteries are dead.
Hey, could I, get next on that? No?
Here's what makes this so hilarious to me. All right. Just hear me out before you say anything, David.
Go ahead.
When I moved to Greece, I didn't have anything to play. My mom knows I was big into video games. Like every kid in that age was big in video games. All right. So she didn't know anything about video games. It wasn't her thing growing up. It wasn't even existed in her memory that when she grown up. So she asked her best friend's son. They got me a Game Gear for Christmas one year. A bunch of games. Oh man, I used to go through barriers like in Donkey Kong's going through bananas. So she went to the store and bought me not one set, not two sets, but three sets of rechargeable batteries. And I remember going through the magazines. I wanted to get the antenna for watch TV. I wanted the plug. I wanted all of it. I had a case. I mean, cases of games like stacked like up here.
Now, let me ask you a
I,
question.
go ahead.
Did you mention on that? Does that sound familiar with another console did the same sort of thing? You got to get all extra stuff just so you can make the thing work. The fact that you got to buy 3 battery packs for the Game Gear.
I was recharging batteries because my grandma used them too. That's what the issue. We were arguing about batteries. We all used them in the house. So she went around the corner. There was a shit. What it was called? They sold cameras and digital pictures, whatever it's called. And she asked him like, is there any chance you guys like what we can do about this? We go, yeah, we could buy these rechargeable batteries, and that was it.
And that's the thing about it. Nintendo, for some reason, it's all like I tell you, it's all about development. They developed their game console not to drain too much battery, but allow it to last for a long time. Yes, Game Gear had a lot of advantage over the Game Boy. It did. But when it boiled down to battery life, Game Gear was like the Venom. It's always hungry.
That's it.
It was always hungry. Feed me.
It was
Okay.
one of the witch doctor eating that shit.
The fact that you played that video, play it again. I gotta see. This is funny. The fact that you played that game, there would have been a Nintendo way of dissing you. Like, okay, yes, ladies and gentlemen, let me break this down. You got this guy playing the Nintendo Game Boy. He's not sweating. He's enjoying himself, mind you. Then you got this Sega fanboy play it while I'm talking. He coming in,
Dude,
harassing.
come on. You still playing a lame boy? Quit being a
See
fart
that?
knocker and get a Game Gear already. It's got full color, a bigger
Look at
screen, you can play in the dark. Heck, I can even watch TV on this
Look
thing.
at that.
Honestly, I don't know why anyone would keep playing a... Oh, wait. batteries are
And
dead.
it happened. Venom kicked in. He drained his battery. Now you want to bug the guy
Hey,
who got a lame boy.
could I get next on that?
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. The lame boy,
No?
right?
The 90s.
Pause it. That's
So
what I
the only
hate.
question I do have on this, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Game Boy, original Game Boy had 2 battery or 4?
When I had one, the first one I had, it had 4 batteries. Well, that's what the developer model they had. It wasn't going to work on 2 batteries. Way the design was, it was never going to win.
4.
Unless you took, it had 4 batteries, 4 AA batteries. Yes. It was never going to work on 2. Power supply, yeah. Yeah, look at it. You're developing a game console to do such thing when you swapping out cartridge left or right. The power output had to fit the requirement. And 4 batteries always have been the case. Yeah, you could use rechargeable battery. Rechargeable battery lasts longer on the Game Boy than that of the Game Gear. The Game Gear was draining the battery quicker. That the want either get to play for hours on a 1 battery charge? Tetris. Tetris is one of those
The
games that
it wasn't draining. It wasn't pushing the PCUs so hard either.
bingo. It wasn't. But that game you could play for hours on one charge without even realizing it.
But don't forget, Nintendo had 3 versions of the Game Boy.
I remember the first one. I had the first one. I didn't know about the second one. I forgot about the second one.
You had the
Good
Game
version.
Boy, or right, OG, Game Boy Pocket.
Oh yeah, OG Game Boy. Game Boy Color.
No, it was Game Boy Pocket because they shrunk it. It wasn't a big hit in America because a lot of people don't even remember it, like even myself. Then it came out a Game Boy Color.
The Game Boy Color was the upgrade to the Game Boy itself because
Absolutely.
everybody liked the.
I got a Game Boy Color. I had a Game Boy Color. Then it was a Game Boy Advance, but that I wouldn't consider that as an upgrade. That's a new system completely.
So the new system completely, but a different type of docking system whatsoever. But the Game Boy Color made the money well for Nintendo more than the other to adaptation. I'll be honest, Nintendo had some great engineers on their team to make sure they prevent them from the drop in sale.
Think about the
From
3DS.
some,
Or should I
okay,
drop the bomb now? Should I drop it?
go ahead.
Nintendo Switch. We're talking about develop. We're not talking about systems now. We're talking just for Nintendo. So we have a Nintendo Switch. I
Hmm.
have one right over here. I bought it recently because I didn't want to pay all that fucking money because I'm cheap. And I have a PlayStation 5. So, but the Nintendo, they are brilliant because in the last 4 or 5 years, I want to say, that handheld systems are coming back full force. You have the Steam Deck and some other companies there, but that's for more PC style. But Nintendo was smart
Hmm.
because I listen. How many times I want to play a game, but you know what? I can play a game and watch a movie at the same time.
Nintendo Switch is a, I hate to say it, but I have to admit it. It was a genius idea for them to make it because from Nintendo DS, they saw something what it really can do. They figured out, like, you know what? Nintendo DS was the launching platform for Nintendo Switch. You have to think about it. They made a lot of games for Nintendo DS.
Mm-hmm.
The console was different and they're different phone, different console, but using the same type of cartridge. But they realized they had something going for them. And they said to themselves, why not make it a little bit bigger? But this way you can expand the storage easy on the Nintendo Switch, which you can. You can play games. It is, mind you, it is handheld. But the moment you dock it, it converts from handheld to console automatically. You can plug it to the TV. You can play all type of games on it, right? Fine. If you have more than enough storage on your Nintendo Switch, you can download game or you can download movies. Fine. And here's the thing: I look at the graph on the Nintendo Switch on the game console itself. When you plug it to the TV, it upload the graphic to the point where it get better and much crispier. So they made a killing on both on Nintendo DS and the Nintendo Switch. So much to the point that you forced not only other game consoles to jump into the war, phone company was jumping into the war as well. Acer made a gaming phone that if you plug into a dock, it allows you game connect into your PC or to your TV. They were taking a script from Nintendo. 'Cause remember, Nintendo has been the genius from the very, very start. Explain to me why Nintendo is not only making game consoles, but also making game itself. And they survived the war from the very beginning. Sega has dropped the console war and got into the gaming war instead because they couldn't compete. But what hurt them, Sega knew they were getting jumped because technically Sony would put a collaborate with Nintendo. Nintendo backed out of them. They're like, okay, we will find out who will be the king of Japan. Right now, the king of Japan is still fighting between Nintendo and Sony. That war is still going on to this day. And they're both doing well. What is funny about it? Neither one will give up because they're both doing well in their turf. Handheld, Nintendo is the king of handheld. You will have to give it up either you like it or you don't. Ain't no damn gaming company is going to beat Nintendo in the handheld war. Period. The reason why I'm saying that even Bill Gates knew already that he flopped with his idea jump into the market with the Xbox. How many versions of Xbox do you have to see before it crash and burn before you have the most
Well,
bigger
the
one we
rumors
have
right
right
now
now?
is they may be making one more system, and they're going to pull a fast one like Nintendo does, and they're just going to do. I mean, Nintendo Sega did, and just games. That's the rumor right now going on.
Keyword, that's the rumor because they didn't
I
learn the
think it's
lesson from
partially
Sega.
true because, and even CQ says it, because they just came out with a handheld version of the Xbox. They teamed up with another company, and usually that's not a good sign according to CQ.
And they team up. Here's the problem: you're not going to win. The issue with it when it comes to gaming console, there is a science to it. This is the nerd side of me speaking about this. When designing a unique console, there's many factors you have to think about. One, are you opening the platform for many developers want to build game on it, knowing that there's no restriction? That's the first thing you look at. The quality of the game console, if it's worth buying. Two, the longevity of the console. If it's the type of console that you don't have to worry about, that you have to constantly replace or buy a new one, or it, you know what I'm talking about. Three, if it's gonna be marketable. Nintendo have been marketable throughout the game console industry. From Nintendo, they made a lot of money off that bad boy. Nintendo slash Famicom, Super Nintendo slash Super Famicom, they were making bloody money. Keyword, bloody money off that. Nintendo 64, well, it was an awkward moment. We all knew about it. They were the only one that had the most weirdest controller in the market. You look at every other game console that was out there, Nintendo was like,
Except the Dreamcast, Dreamcast, because the way they had the cable set up, you had to loop it around, and it had a little like a little groove you can plug it in. But most people didn't know that was there.
mm,
They would get pissed off.
didn't know what to think about it. But Nintendo 64 was much awkward because, let's be real, I don't want, no pun intended, but the way it was, and it had vibrating set in the, it had a vibrating system in, like the controller do vibrate. The way it was set right out the back, I don't want to call it, but as a kid, we didn't think about it. When you get older, you start to think about it later, like, is it supposed to be doing what I think it is for the ladies? Don't act like
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Sparta. You cannot say you didn't think
I
that thing.
actually
When you're a
didn't.
kid and
I
you look
have
at,
never thought of that. When I think of the, and I'll go grab my fucking 64 controller right now if you want me to. All
bring
right,
it,
I'll be right back, guys. All right, before I go,
bring it.
it
Why?
reminds me of a W. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, it looked like a W, but it didn't look like a
I'll be
proper
right back.
W, mind you. Why he going to bring the controller? I'll be honest with you. Playing all the games for Nintendo 64 was feeling awkward because first and foremost, if you are a real gamer like I am, controller comfort was number one issue for every game console. We all know this. Because back in the Nintendo NES days, it had a boxy controller. It wasn't too much of a hassle. But yes, you did have an issue with the sharp edge of the controller. If anybody can agree with me on that part. So when you play long hours on Nintendo, the boxy controller feature is not to dig into your hand. So it become annoying, and they got a lot of complaints
All right.
about that, right? They went for Nintendo to Super Nintendo, right? The curve eliminate the pain of the boxy issue, right? Look at the Nintendo 64. It was looking kind of weird because first and foremost, if you're a big gamer like I am and you're playing football or fighting game on a game console, that Nintendo 64 console will throw you off one way or the other because you want to get the feel. You're like, how I'm gonna do this? And it vibrate, mind you. Yeah, the vibrate feel when you fight it, you can feel the impact. But
To get the
real talk, it
vibration,
was
to
getting
get the
awkward.
vibration for the 64, you had to get the vibration pack, if you remember.
I remember that.
Not only that, I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah, you mind? You got some weird kinks, my man. But if you're thinking you're gonna put this in a girl's cuckoo, you got some kinky shit going on in your fucking head.
Go to Twitch, past videos on so many people who got banned. That's what the tool they were using.
There's some freaks out there, but this to me looks like more like a W. Because when this was
It looked like a W.
when they designed this, the mindset was to play like this. All right, this is what we're going to use. This was for everything side pieces, like up for the oh man, what is it called? For a whistle or something like that for a Zelda and all that stuff. This was supposed to be a extra part. I'm not saying it's the greatest design in the world. It looks you know, people go to Wii. I go to Classic personally because this is what I grew up on. This is one of the systems I grew up on.
And this is where Sega were making fun of it, whereby they had a better control. But remember, every gamer issue what the
Eric, you're
controller comes.
completely right. It was separate. When I purchased this from White Dragons comic in, I believe, Tannersville, PA, or go check them out. Ask for Pete. Tell him Spark can send you guys if you're going to check them out. But anyway,
Comfort. That was the issue.
hang on, David. I thought there was comfort. I never had an issue with this controller. I never had an issue with any controller. People say the only one that actually bothered my hands for a little bit was the Nintendo, the original Nintendo. And sometimes
I said it earlier. When you walked away, I told everybody, Nintendo original controller was like a box.
I was a brick.
Long
I was a
hours
fucking
of
brick.
play. It started to hurt your. It was like you feel like you were stabbing your hand. Nintendo understood that. So on Super Nintendo, they curved the edge instead. That was the solution. It did work to a degree for long hour play. This Nintendo 64, I wasn't feeling the control. I felt like even the middle part you're talking about, and my who were playing Street Fighter did not like the middle part. They preferred the pad part because if you could have done it, you said that Sega got it correctly at one point. Until PlayStation came out with their own controller and they figured out, why do I do it this way? And people started to caught on because controller was the number one issue to every gamer. If you to have a show and start ranking to the best game controller to the worst game controller, you have a lot of people calling it out. Even after the show we aired here, I want people to put their comment. Which game console has the most comfortable controller based on each era? From Nintendo
Mhm.
era to the Super Nintendo era, Sega era. Mention, tell the truth. Cause I'm not gonna lie. When Nintendo, you gotta put a cloth at the edge so you don't pinch your nerve when you're playing the game for long hours. Super Nintendo, it was cool to a degree, right? Wasn't a problem, but the curve itself, it still feel like it wedged into your hand. Wasn't that bad? The Super Nintendo 64, it was feeling kind of awkward because the way you had to hold the controller, if you're a heavy gamer, after a while, your wrist posture, it would get annoying to a degree.
So here's my thing.
Sega had some
Go
cool,
ahead, finish this. I'm sorry.
Sega had some cool controllers. Sorry, Sega had some cool controllers. It wasn't that too drastic, but it was, you almost feel like they were trying to reverse the look from Nintendo look to their look. That let's do, they look this way, we look this way. It was like,
Who are you talking about now? Which one?
we get what you're trying to do. Sega. No Sega controller was almost like the opposite of every other controller for both PlayStation and Nintendo. You have a you have your controller be a certain way. They would have to do the opposite of that. It got to a point where you have to get third-party controllers, right? AKA Asteroid. They were the actual controller that I got, right? This thing is interchangeable. They're all interchangeable. So I can switch this one right here. I can move this one to be down here and move this one up here.
The Pro controllers, but back then they didn't have those things.
Yeah, that's more toward to the Sega controller. This format is the PlayStation controller. That's what Sega was doing. Sega was trying to do the opposite of what everybody else was doing. No, that was sorry, correction. This is Xbox. Xbox do the Switch. What Sega do almost do
So
that
it
on the
depends who you talk
controller.
to. Is the reason I
Mhm,
say that. If you talk to, like, say, for example, CQ, my buddy, CQ will sit there and
mhm.
argue night and day with you, saying Xbox is the most comfortable controller, and that's why they, quote unquote, for him, they copied a PlayStation 5 copy Xbox controller. I just,
That would be the argument. That would be the
yeah, I
argument.
personally, CQ, buddy, my pal, brother, uh, my little bold little square over there. Listen to me.
He's
Hang
watching.
on.
Don't
Shut
don't
up.
don't don't choke him.
Shut up. I'm gonna mute
I'm
you. I
saving
will
you.
fucking mute you. Hang out. Let me finish. CQ, buddy. How? I'll tell you once again. The Xbox system completely is a copy and knockoff of the PlayStation because PlayStation does have better games, buddy. We have Spider-Man, your favorite character, and you guys don't have it. So now you can talk,
And if
David.
he
Go
can
ahead.
come up here, if he can come up here, they'll be arguing back and forth. I know TQ
Oh,
and
I know,
Sparta.
yo, dude. I am going on vacation this week, and I'm gonna see him. So I know this argument's gonna come up this week. But
I'm
seriously, guys,
trying to
go check
save.
out.
I'm trying to save it
Time
from
out.
the argument because they go
Yeah.
back and forth like cat and mouse, literally.
Oh yeah, we're best friends. We're fucking like brothers. Of course we are. Guys, go check out Pop Culture Warrior. Please do. His shit is fucking off the hook. But I have another video I want to play. I got a couple of them actually. They're pretty
Go ahead.
funny.
I hope you find that commercial for the Nintendo versus Sega commercial. That was the more funny because you know why?
Yeah, I don't
was
want to get copy striked.
I don't understand. That commercial was
Nintendo
original to the
is known for copy striking even the title.
I-
That's why I had to be
I
very
understand.
careful.
I know you're right because
All right.
what happened is that commercial got copied by Apple and Windows.
So, guys, I just came across him a couple years ago. This guy's actually pretty funny, and he's actually a pretty cool guy, from what I understand. So go check him out. His YouTube is where is it? I just had it up here. Hang on, let me find the freaking thing.
1980 Gamer 1.
Yeah, he has a lot. He does a lot of skits. It's pretty funny, actually. Believe it or not, guys. All right, let's shut you up and.
The Genesis is great, but are you buying the new Sega CD? Yes, the graphics and audio will be so much better than this. I'm buying one too. Do you still play your Sega CD? There aren't any good games for it. I'm waiting for the 32X. That's gonna be awesome! Are you getting the new Sega Saturn console? Nah, I'm tired of getting ripped off by Sega. All those Genesis add-ons were failures. That's why I bought the Sony PlayStation. It's incredible! I may have to buy one of these too. The Genesis
Why did you invite this guy to the show? You know,
I have to go to the bathroom. Wait a minute. Little Timmy would like a new portable game. We have the PSP and the DS. Which one's better? The DS can play the older GBA games. I have some of those at home. We'll take the DS. Enjoy. Yay! Let's go find that bathroom. I got so excited I wet myself. Oh dear! Welcome to the game.
He's pretty fucking funny, bro. Like, I gotta give him credit.
Why
believe
did you
his
not
first name is
invite
Matt.
this
Guys,
guy?
go check him out. He's actually pretty cool.
Why didn't you invite the guy to the show? You gotta reach out to him weeks ahead.
I actually have multiple times.
He didn't answer.
No, when he was smaller, before he grew this big, he's been monetized very recently. He does this full time now. I'm actually going to correct that. He's been monetized for a while, but now he's making enough money off his videos. He's doing this full time. So, I think he's getting so many emails. He just probably missed mine, or he's probably getting a lot of invites.
He would have been good for the shows. He would be wrote. That right there, it was an obvious point. Why Sega lost the battle, but it wasn't to Nintendo. Was to PlayStation took their lunch money. Real talk. The thing that made PlayStation 2 sick was the fact that I caught it up before in the last couple of shows back then. That if you're playing a racing game, you can start the game off, right? You can pause it, open the cylinder, take out the game CD, and put your favorite music CD you want to listen to.
For which system?
Like
PlayStation?
PlayStation. If you're playing a racing game, you start the racing game off. Like when you start the race and you end the race, you can pause it. Open the console, take out the game CD out, do a PlayStation 2. Put your favorite music CD in.
I don't remember that, to be honest with you, but I heard about it. But what
That was a
I
hack.
do, what I used to use my PlayStation also is as a CD player, because I didn't have a CD player back then. That's what I want.
It wasn't CD
Wait,
player,
wait. I got one that is gonna blow your socks off your fucking feet right now.
Okay.
So if you remember, during the PlayStation era 1, it was no Dragon Ball Z games, except if you get import from Japan, like I did.
Mhm.
But you had to get a special adapter from the back and a special spring from the front. So you actually had to open it, hit start, all right, then close it. That spring will pretend is on, is open. It close, it spins it. Then you close the lid so the chip can do this job and play it. So I beat the shit out of that game. It was a fighting game, nothing too crazy, right? It was with Goku was wearing the blue gi in the front. So I'm actually going to try to look it up right now. I beat it and I had fun. I'm saying, I was trying to sell it, and a lot of guys were trying to buy it off me. That's great, but here's the thing: I knew how much I was worth, and here it is. Let me share my tab. This one, right? Oh, damn it! Yeah,
Yeah.
this was the game. Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. This is the one I had. So here's what's interesting about this game. The game was I paid for 50, right? I got $185 for it. $50, the game plus the add-ons I had to get from Funkoland, by the way. My friends were offering me $80, $60, $70, $80. So I said, let me go check this out again. I was curious, like, how much can I get for this? So he goes, and the rep says, we don't take Japanese games. He says Dragon Ball. The manager goes, you have a Dragon Ball Z? He really got 36. His back was starting to go. He could turn around like, do you have a Dragon Ball Z game? I'm like, whoa, calm down, dude. Yeah. He goes, hang on. He's going. I'm like, how about 185? I'm like, oh yes, ding. And I was smart enough to say, yeah. So
that's how bad it is, because any Japanese PlayStation game, the value is much higher than the US PlayStation game. Because they're hard to get.
very, very hard to get.
I would have taken it from you before you, so I would have beat you up for it. I was like, just drop the game, put it down, and walk away with your life. 'Cause you know how hard it is to get a PlayStation game? Dragon Ball Z, GT, any Dragon Ball game on a PlayStation 1 console? Let any brother from Brooklyn find out you have one. We're looking for you. We kidnapped you.
Well, the whole school knew I had one, but nobody would touch me. They know better. They
Yeah,
knew better to touch my ass.
You would not my neighborhood. We would have kidnapped you for your game.
Bro, I'm telling you, like, that game was, people trying to be my friend to play that
See,
game. Right?
I'm glad you said it. People was like to, hey,
Yeah, people keep going, hey, P, like, who the fuck are you and why are your hand on my shoulder? You're not a girl. Get your hand off my fucking shoulder
yo,
before
anybody,
you lose your arm permanently.
everybody remember those ever, or the PlayStation ever, the Nintendo ever, and Sega ever. So in game from Japan, give you, I can't say rep. It give you that extra level respect in high school or middle school. They're like, you got what again? From where? Hey, can I come? When we start talking, you never talked to me throughout the whole school year. Now you want to talk because you heard I got this from that brought you street cred back in the days. So from
So,
people,
like
even
I
the
said,
girls, even the girls hear about it. Like, oh, you got someone against some game from Japan? Some girl will want to come to your house just to see you play it.
here's the thing. That's the funny part. When back then in the 90s, it was no such thing as, I hate to say this and I apologize if I offend anybody, girl gamer. Back then, girls do game even back then, but they were really like undercover. So when girls find out I had it, I go, "Hey, like I'm here. I'm feeling nails like." what's going on? He goes, so the room we're on the street, you have a Dragon Ball Z game? I'm like, I do. Like,
Imagine that.
so, and I started walking away. I they got bother me.
Imagine that a game
So
will get you
you
laid.
think I can borrow it? Like, no. But I'm like, but you
Imagine
can
that.
come over and play it.
Imagine that there was the era when certain game will get you laid. Imagine
Come
that
on.
crap going on. No one would. You tell the young generation kid, they'll never believe that.
Here's the thing, bro. Young Pete was a moron.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Boom, blade the middle finger.
So I'm gonna tell you why Pete was a moron. Young Pete. One, he was very shy. Two, he didn't know how to talk to women or girls at the time. And three, he did not know when to shoot his shot.
But your game helped you.
Kind of.
Admit it. See, no,
It
don't
got
kind.
girl. Listen,
Ain't
listen,
no
listen.
kind of.
I'll tell you why. Kind of. I was able to talk to more girls when I was the girls that were out of my league. Two, I was able to have girls in my room. I don't think, but I would never shoot my shot.
So,
I was too shy.
ladies and gentlemen, let me break it down. The Dragon Ball PlayStation game that imported from Japan opened the door for moron Sparta to not only talk to girls that surpassed his league, but able to have them come over. So when he came over, he was, I can't say cold feet, he was frozen feet and still don't know how to shoot his shot.
So here's the thing. Also, back then, all right, this was back in middle school. Middle school wasn't the greatest to me because I don't forget I just got back to the country.
We all know.
Yeah, so you're talking about pre-Spartan, pre-everything. I was a imported kid from a different country. Nobody liked me. I felt it was partially true. And on top of that, me shooting my shot was very hard because I was a fucking virgin still at the time.
That was the obvious. That was the obvious. Here's the bad part, ladies and gentlemen. When you're in middle school and high school, when you're a virgin, you get picked on. But if you have certain access that it can bring supply to your way faster than you having a car and anything whatsoever, it's on the low because here's the thing. They did a show on This Might Be Risky a few months back, and they had to admit that they were hating on nerds.
But dude, okay, time out here a second. Back in it when I was in high school, in middle school, this is what we're talking about sixth grade, right? So pretty much everybody was a virgin. So seventh grade, same thing. Eighth grade. Now you go into ninth and 10th. That's when people start losing their virginities when they get up that age.
Not
Back
in,
then.
not in New York City. New York City was
It was
undercover.
in New York City, bro. It was in New York City.
It was
Not
more
even
like
hustles. I'm dead serious. Back then, I'm talking
Mhm.
about 98, 99, 2000, 2001 the most. That's how it was. Now it's completely different from my understanding. But I'm
because I
telling you,
was
in New York City, I grew up in New York City. Remember that.
so do I. I
Trust
had
me.
I had a mentor who told me something. He done put it up. He told me there's a lot of things that happened among the school back in the late 1980s. He was telling
Mhm.
me certain people were actually losing it, but they're not supposed to because their parents find out they will get killed on the spot. So it was more of a kind of thing. Even in high school, because during the late 80s, going to the 90s, you losing your virginity before you graduate from high school was bad news. But some were doing it anyway, quietly. But they would never say about it until you got to high school. People start to throw people on the bus. About the person is easy. But during the 90s, there's a term called fresh meat. Fresh meat was mostly referred to young girls entering a high school who are naive. And you got the juniors and the seniors who are predators preying on fresh meat. Middle school, some were doing it quietly without anybody knowing about it, only within your circles. If they found out about it, it's more like because you know that person parent, if that person parent was a terror, and they found out, you don't say nothing because they know why. Something happened. Either that person had to leave the school, go to another school because parents don't like the fact that someone
Maybe in your
influenced
high
their
school,
kid.
bro. I guess you went to a weird high school, but I'm telling you, in my school, nobody was like it was you knew a few people who lost it before before
Mhm.
high school. Very few, but it wasn't like what you're saying. It was completely opposite for us. But again, you're a lot. Don't forget, you're a lot older.
That is true. You're right. But to have a game open a door for you, it was an underground thing. No one knew because back then, if you have a fancy car or you got this or you got a leather jacket or this, that will open door. But certain games that never in the US is from Japan and you one of the very few we had it. And you had some of these underground girls who never mentioned they play games. And I hate to say it, part will admit to you, some of these underground, undercover girls are pretty ass high class or you want to call it out of your league girls who never want to show they would actually play games. They keep their hush hush about it.
Look at Sniper Wolf, for example, one of the top woman gamers.
Hmm.
Have you seen her?
She the beauty. She the
I'm actually
beauty.
gonna find a picture of her really fast.
Because as of lately, which is kind of crazy, we got a lot more females that are into gaming more than you actually would thought it would be. And that is crazy. A lot more females because when we say that we play games just to release stress, right, among the guys, instead of going out there, going to the club, getting drunk or getting high, gaming was a stress reliever. Slowly but steady, a lot more female have jumped into the gaming arena and they realize gaming is stress relieving.
Absolutely.
But the problem is, as guys, we have a saying, let no girl beat you in a game. And certain games they're referring to are sport games and fighting games. If a girl beats you and we found out about it, we take your credit from you. We'll talk. But here what I hate, and you can agree with me on this part too. Ladies as of lately even come to the game arena and we play among peers and we're playing games. They have a way of cheating. If you that gamer will let whoop everybody behind and she want to win against you, she will use one of your weaknesses against you if you're paying attention, if you know what I mean. So there have been a beef among who is the best in gaming among the sexes. Yes, a lot of guys I don't want to lose to no female. I'm one of them. I'm sorry. I don't believe in losing to no female. You're not going to beef. I'm not going to allow you. Oh, tabletop Dungeon the Dragon. Ooh, that's
That game
another one.
never fucking ends. I don't care how long you play that game.
It never ends. But it better group among yourself. Those who into that game, if you keep your number, you keep in touch. That is a thing for a long period of time. I never got a chance to find people who into Dungeons and Dragons during my time in Brooklyn. 'Cause where I was in the really ghetto. There's not a lot of nerds, but there was nerd going to a particular school with Brooklyn Tech. That was the only nerdy high school in Brooklyn at the time. Every other high school meant for dweebs or sport jocks. If you're a real nerd, they would have you on that side on Brooklyn Tech, downtown Brooklyn. I wish I attended that school, but it's what it is. I always been a nerd till the day I die. So everybody liked the nerd. I was into the game. I was into Nintendo more than Sega, pun intended. I played Mario so much with Mario 3. We trying to get like hack into the game. I was trying to make sure I beat the game clean. Like you beat every stage, every hidden stage. Because everybody who play Mario, there's always a hidden stage. In Mario 1, Mario
Mhm.
2, Mario 3. And we're gonna have bragging right. that you beat every single stage and the hidden stage. I was that kid who never give up. Then you have other games that were into it. Super Smash Bros. Is the brainchild of Nintendo. That's going nowhere. That game making so much money for Nintendo. So much to the point whereby it's part of the e-game arena. As in fighting game, e-games, they make their banking off that. And that's their baby right there. That's their cash cow. What other game that Nintendo made that is also a cash cow besides Mario and Super Smash Bros? If I want to think about it. Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong was the second cash cow to a certain degree, but it fell off a
Zelda
bit.
was one of them.
Zelda, Zelda was another cash cow. Metroid was to a certain degree. It was trying to bring in cash, but wasn't bringing as much cash like Zelda was bringing the cash in, like Super Mario Bros. Was bringing the cash in, and Donkey Kong was bringing the cash in. Super Smash Bros. Allowed Zelda to take part in the cash cow. Mario still there heavy.
Make
Mario still there
drops.
heavy.
Hmm.
Let me see. Super Smash Bros. Had three of their mascots for Nintendo. Mario Brothers with crew Super Mario, Luigi, and Wario, three of them in there. It had Metroid in there. It had Zelda in there. All their mascots joined in to bring the cash in that particular game, and they added other characters. Some of the characters are from, oh yeah, Star Wars. Star Wars Pod Racer did bring a certain amount of money at a time. Thank
Smash
you, Eric.
Brothers.
But after the N64, during the N64, the Pod Racer, that was a thing.
David, Smash Brothers was another one.
Yeah, I say Smash, but Smash Brother was the main cash cow. Smash Brother upgrade to being Super Smash Brother. That was
Mario Kart.
thank, thank you. Mario Kart is
Pokemon.
not going. No, Mario Kart is not going nowhere. I'm sorry.
Dude, they
Let's
just
look.
released a Mario Kart World for Switch 2.
I'm sorry. Of all the racing games that was out there, from some apparent reason, Mario Kart steady make money. The popularity was ridiculous because you have all these racing games, yeah, super high speed, everything, but what Mario Kart has, other things did not have. Some game want to copy Mario Kart and put weapons into the play of things. Mario Kart had this fun thing whereby you had the red shell, you had the green shell, you had the banana pit. It was so comical and so entertaining that you have more people years later still playing Mario Kart. And Mario Kart being played on multiple consoles. Let's be honest. It started from the N64, am I correct?
420.
Mario Kart. It first started off from N64, am I correct or no?
Super.
From Nintendo?
Yeah.
Okay, it started from Super Nintendo. But imagine how that game kept on moving from multiple game consoles under Nintendo and still make money. Yoshi, yes, Yoshi used to make money at one point. It was a hit seller at one point, and would make it. There were so many big name games under Nintendo that were making mad money for Nintendo. Now let's flip it to Sega. How many games were making money for Sega? I know Sonic was making money. Um, not Gear War. Um, hold on. Let me ask my assistant. What are the big names? What are the games made for Sega that produce a lot of money for them? I'm asking my assistant right now.
Sega didn't have a lot. That's the thing. You can sit there and argue all day long.
Now, here's the thing. My assistant say the top franchise that makes Sega the most money. Sonic the Hedgehog made up to $8 to $10 billion. Sega.
Sega. That's it. I mean,
Sonic
Sonic.
the
That's it.
Hedgehog. Sonic was the cash cow for Sega. Next to that was Total War series. It made to $1 to $2 billion. Like a Dragon, Yakuza, 1 billion. Fantasy Star came from the very beginning of OG, 1 billion. Persona series, 750 to 1 billion. Football Manager, Puyo Puyo, Virtual Fighter, House of the Dead.
All these titles you're
But
mentioning, David, I don't remember none of these from Sega. Not even one.
that's the funny thing. They was later on Sega. Later on.
I'm gonna add another one for Nintendo. GoldenEye.
Ooh, that was a cash cow. That was a cash cow. Have you know what I'm telling you about the cash cow? I know so many people who play that one. They complain about everybody cheap when they get the golden gun. The golden gun was one shot kill. We had the golden gun in the game. You automatically beating the game. You didn't play with multiplayer. You cheating. From Genesis 1991, Sega was making so much money from Sonic the Hedgehog alone. Imagine this one. Sonic the Hedgehog not only make money for the game cards, they make money in the movie. They made over $725 million in box office. That's crazy. Total War debuted back in 2000. Like a Dragon, 2005. That's Yakuza series. Fan- Fantasy Star Online, that's a Sega game, but on a PlayStation, PS1, PS2.
Listen,
It was debuted on
Sega did the
Dreamcast
best thing
2000.
for business for them. They realized, and even Nintendo and Sega has said it. Hey, Marina, what is going on? That making systems, Nintendo has said it, PlayStation said it, Xbox said it, but Sega's the only one smart one that says, listen, we're not gonna make systems, so we're not making money. They actually lose money every console going out the door. And so
It's that thing that happened with them on Sega Dreamcast hurt them because it was all over the news when they're seeing people coming in long lines exchanging their Sega Dreamcast for the PlayStation 2. That just lets you know, Sega, no more game consoles.
what system was
Just
Doom
chalk it
on?
off. Who?
Doom. What's the game Doom? You remember the Doom? What system was that on? I can't remember. I think it was a
I,
Nintendo.
no. I think they were on multi-platform, but they had it on PlayStation 2 as well.
Yeah, later on. But I'm saying the original Doom, Doom 1. Because I played Doom 3 on the computer. I remember that.
True. Very, very true. Now, I'm going to ask my assistant the games that made the most money for Nintendo. Let's see who are the cash cows for Nintendo. God. Ooh. And I thought it would be Mario would be the cash cow for Nintendo. I guess not. Guess who's number one for making the most money for Nintendo?
Who?
Pokemon.
Oh, I
Pokemon
could have told you that. I said that earlier.
make the most money for Nintendo. About $100 billion. Mario, which includes Super Mario, Mario Kart, and every other series, $60 billion. That's Nintendo flagship IP. But your flagship IP got outplayed by Pokemon. God damn. Zelda come in third. Legend of Zelda, 8 to 10 billion.
So I was wrong.
Number four,
Doom was originally
what
released on PC, later on the Sega Saturn.
okay. Now the
But
Wii
go through your
series,
saying,
that the Wii Sport, the Wii series, the Wii Sport, and the Wii Fit, I mean, Nintendo Wii made a huge amount of money on the Wii series. That's the Wii Sport, the Wii Fit. No, well, remember I told you before, the Wii, Nintendo Wii was making so much money for Nintendo because they were selling it to nursing home. Remember the nursing home activity for the elders? They make six
Yeah, I
billion.
remember you mentioned that a couple times. I wasn't working in nursing homes at the time, but I take your word for it.
Remember we talked about it in the past. They make $6 billion for Nintendo, and most of that money came from nursing homes. I'm bet you on that one.
I believe you. I'm not going to bet me on anything because I believe you.
The fifth one was Animal Crossing. I was like, okay. But here's the joke. Super Smash Bros. By itself alone made about $2 to $3 billion. Because not only was it was signed to Nintendo and they're allowed to do crossover, meaning cross over to other consoles. Donkey Kong made about 1.5 to $2 billion. Platoon 1 billion. Luigi Mansion 800 million to 1 billion. Then Fire Emblem 600 to 900 million. Now, we want to talk about the top selling game individually after 2025 right now. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch,
I
62
thought Mario
million.
Kart World. Actually, no, it can't be Mario Kart World because they have a shortage of Switches still.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the game itself, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, for the Switch, 62 million units sold. Animal Crossing New Horizon for the Switch, 44 million. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, 34 million units. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for both the Switch and the Wii U, 33 million. Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch, 27 million. Pokemon Sword and Shield, 26 million.
So, which
Pokemon
IP?
Scarlet and
Here's a
Violet.
question now. Which IP? So it's Pokemon. Then what's down the line after that?
Pokemon is not a flagship IP for Nintendo, but it made its money for Nintendo huge. So I would say it's
Kind of
Nintendo
is a
IP.
flagship because nobody else
Not
play. You know what? You can play Pokemon but Nintendo.
no Nintendo flagship IP was Mario Bros. From the very beginning.
Not
Remember,
only Mario.
from the
I'm not
Famicom days.
disagreeing with that, but is Mario, is Zelda, is Donkey Kong, is Metroid. You got four flagships.
Yes,
Now add Pokemon to that, that's five.
Pokemon. That's fine. Pokemon came after,
I'm not denying that,
right?
but it's still a
Because
flagship, David. You can't argue that.
it's no, correct. Based on the technical you're talking, it's still a flagship. I'm talking about the original when they first started into the business, right? It was Mario, it was Zelda, it was hold on, don't tell me this right now. Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, and Metro. Those were the flagship, right? From the from the very beginning. Pokemon came after. But when Pokemon came after, Pokemon came like a plague and surpassed the four OG flagship.
Oh yeah, because it was on a Game Boy at first. But Nintendo was
But
smart
what made it
also
so quick?
because if you had a Super Nintendo, you could put a Game Boy player, plug it into your Super Nintendo, and still play it on TV.
Real
And
talk.
then
So
it
imagine
gets
that.
better on the 64. If you got the Pokemon Stadium, had a thing where the
hmm
Rumble Pack was, like I showed you, you can plug in your
hmm
Nintendo Pokemon card game and use your
I heard about that part.
your Pokemon you train in the game to play in Stadium. Now, if you're a little sneaky like I was, you still could play at first it'll give you an error message like this is not a Pokemon game, blah blah blah. But if you start wiggling a
hmm
little, just a little to bypass that warning sign, you can play any game you wanted.
Well, here's the thing. Nintendo have been killing the market longer than anyone can imagine. So when you look at the top selling game, I'm like, you got to be killing me, right? That's on game console, mind you. They made a lot of money off the Wii, about $82.9 million on Wii Sport.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The new Super Mario Bros. For Nintendo DS, they made 30 million for that one, which they still make money. Now look at the mobile and multimedia revenue.
Okay, here's what's funny. I think
Look
it's
at,
kind of hilarious. All right,
Mhm.
so we know Nintendo did really well. Super Nintendo 64, GameCube didn't do well when it was out. Believe it or not, but now people are picking that shit up like fucking like the plague almost. Now,
it's like an after effect.
pretty much now, people saying Game Boy, not I'm sorry, GameCube is the best, one of the best systems at that era. I think people didn't realize how
It
good it was too late.
marketing. Everything go down to marketing. It's how you market the system. Because of all the top selling game it was selling on the Switch, the Wii U, and the Wii and Nintendo DS. That's one, two, three, and four. Four console. Now look at the mobile side, which I expected to happen. Pokemon Go, $7+ billion. I don't even have it on my phone. But remember when the Pokemon Go was a plague? The everybody in Times Square. Oh, I'm like, yo, Nintendo knew what they were doing when they did that. They made a killing of. You know how many grown ass people was going to Central Park trying to get a unique Pokemon on their phone?
And how many people got jumped too? I mean, seriously, a lot of people
They
usually get
made so
jumped.
much. I know because of that. But 7 billion they made off that. Seven. Hmm. Then Fire Emblem license, Fire Emblem Hero, 1.5 billion. Mario Kart Tour, 500 million. Super Mario Run, 90 million. Pokemon Detective, the movie, only made about 430 million box office. But Super Mario Bros. The movie, 2023, made about 1.36 billions. Nintendo know how to make money, literally. Let merchandising and lightning. Pokemon, you're not gonna go out no time soon. You got the trading card, you got the anime, the plush toy, the clothing, and Lego. Mario, that's not going no time soon. Lego set, toy, apparel, theme park, Super Nintendo World. Like,
Legos. Don't get me started with
how
that
far you
shit.
going? Zelda, limited edition figures, book, and collector items. Animal Crossing, somehow they're surviving. Lifestyle merch. But you can hate Lego all you want, but they make so much money from the Mario set and the Pokemon set. They're killing it. Other bits of revenue on the Nintendo theme park. Do Sega had a theme park? Every console that we know, which one had a theme park beside Nintendo?
Nintendo only.
My point exactly. So how come Nintendo still the OG after all many years to the point they have a theme park? What happened to the PlayStation theme
They
park?
even have a museum.
I know, but here it is. You have a theme park for Nintendo. There's no Sega theme park. There's no Xbox theme park. There's no PlayStation theme park. But Nintendo has one. What I tell you, they stick to their gun. So much to the point whereby if you want to say they won the console war in this way, they did long term.
So here's one thing about Nintendo that I know for a fact. I don't need Chat GPT. I don't need internet local. I just facts. Real
Hmm.
talk.
Hmm.
Nintendo till recently was always price friendly. Look it up. You don't believe me, David. They're always was price friendly to the Switch too. Before that, every
Hmm.
system they had.
I
That's
know.
one thing about them. They always were cheap,
Yep, they
cheaper
were.
than the other systems. So it was very
They were.
affordable. Their games was very affordable.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's why you see people stacking games all the way up to here of Nintendo. Think about it. Just do the math. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If you it's affordable, you're gonna sell more units. You're gonna sell more games. Simple. Also what I think is funny on a side note, the games in Japan were smaller and the chips were smaller. That's why you need a conversion kit again to play those games here.
Because they were way advanced over there than here. That's what the issue.
That I
Plus, their
don't know for a
library was
fact. I don't know. I don't want to argue something I'm not sure about. But what I will say, I'm not sure. I can't argue if I don't know, David. I'm not what I'm gonna start going debating with you something I'm not familiar with. You give me that fucking look like you just lost to Mario again.
really. I don't lose no Mario game. You ain't gonna beat me in Mario. I can say that.
Everybody loses in Mario at some point. But no, seriously, David, think what I'm saying. The games were cheaper. You probably can get your hands on a couple of Japanese games very easily. Conversion kit was probably pretty cheap.
Mhm.
It does only a little adapter. Click. That's all you had to do. Nintendo had a fucking
But
money pit. And the most funny thing, Nintendo was really known for what? Card games originally.
that's what I'm saying. Nintendo was a card game from the very beginning, but in the modern era, they revamped themselves, they rebuilt themselves, and became something that even the founder, if what's to see right now, they are a juggernaut of a business.
I want to throw a monkey wrench in our the last couple minutes we have here. All right. You know how I love throwing my monkey
Oh
wrenches.
boy.
You have Sega. All right. I don't want to get into this too much. I just want to get a little brief, and then I want to get into the one last section. We're going to close it out. That stepped away from making systems. You know who was in the other company who did the same thing? Still around today. Don't think too hard. If I will hit. You know what? I'll help you out here, David. Stay awake from me.
Xbox. Xbox.
Nope.
The only contract I think of is Panasonic 3DO, but that's not it.
Time's up. You ready? Atari.
Yeah. Oh, shit, forgot about them. There was another game console. I forgot about Atari. They didn't last long. Atari did not last long. They started off too, but they didn't survive well the console war. They bailed out before Nintendo and Sega were going back and forth. Yeah, the Atari 2600, Atari 7200. Then the last game console I remember they did was Atari Jaguar with that weird controller. If you can pull up the picture of Atari Jaguar controller, you will start asking to what the hell was this? You know what? I'm gonna look for it right now.
I'm not gonna like it. But this last section I want to get into because I want to touch base towards the end of the show.
Mhm.
We talked about the different systems over the years. We talked about the different kind of games. But one thing we haven't really touched, I talked a little bit at the beginning of the show, is downloadable games. That's where the money is right now in this market in 2025. If you asked me 10 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. I really would have. Think will be a thing. Digital media.
Mhm.
And the numbers are so all over the place with this. There are a few Nintendo things that here's my issue with Nintendo right now. One, they're charging way too much for their systems. Uno. My Spanish not that great, so guys, bear with me. I'm probably gonna butcher this shit up, so I apologize ahead of time. Dress. I hope I said that right. This is the first time they're charged. They're also the physical game, the little chip. This is a chip pretty much. The game is on, right? It's not a chip. It's a downloadable code pretty much to your console. So you can literally download, say, it's only for the Switch too. So guys, don't freak out. So if you say you got Mario Kart World, right?
Mhm.
It's pretty much the same thing as downloading it. You just got a little chips and you have a physical, but it's not on the game. It's not on the card. They know they're not. I technically they're smart, not stupid, and I get it. Oh man! All right, let's show you this, and we're gonna close out. All right, but
Look
I
at this
actually
right
remember
here on the
the joystick
look at
one.
the controller. Tell me you will play. I remember the joystick ones,
Yeah, the joystick
but
one
look
I
at the
played with
Atari
Pong and
Jaguar
all that
system.
stuff, but I played a little bit of it, not too much. And that's probably one of the reasons they failed. There was too many. How are you
But
gonna push all
look
those
at the
buttons?
controller. That's my point. Me we saw that. I was a kid. Me I saw that we were asking each other, who will play this? What the hell is this? Look at all this. Look at the kind of controller they had. It was not making no sense. Kid
You
in
know,
their
one thing I
right
give him
mind will
credit for
grab this
style.
controller.
Kids did,
Really, Peter?
but one thing I give him
Really?
credit for Atari 200 or whatever it's called for styling. For the outside, they have wood and all that shit. That was actually pretty catchy for the time.
Yeah, but they thick on one button. Do you know how stiff that controller was? I had one.
Yes, I remember,
That controller was stiff.
but they never broke.
It was hard to move around. No, it never broke. I give you that. It never broke. Let's look how far Atari went before they bail out. There were the days. Yeah, I remember this. That's how your cartridge looked like. The Atari 2600. It was crazy. Atari did not survive the game war. Then
Kind of did because they're still out.
this
They're still
the
making games.
7600, 7800 version.
The last one they made, and I want to start
It
closing them
was,
after that, was Atari Jaguar. It came out in
mhm.
'94. Uh, in America, between actually that was an American company. So '93 was released in America, and worldwide '94. All right, David, you want to get your final thoughts in?
Yeah, I give my final thought. Final thought, this game console war was ridiculous. Let me put it like that. You grew up in my days, or the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the N64, the GameCube versus the Sega. Like back and forth with Sega. I had an Atari too. I forgot about that one. I did have an Atari 2600. I didn't get an Atari 7800. Atari lost my faith in them. So I had to jump the Nintendo bandwagon. I was enjoying the Nintendo until PlayStation came into the mix. Then PlayStation made me cheat on Nintendo. Sorry, Nintendo, I had to cheat on you. A lot of us cheat on Nintendo and jump to PlayStation. But Nintendo say, okay, you'll soon come back to me, which a lot of us did, ironically. Game Boys, Nintendo DS, Nintendo Switch. Even Peter got a Nintendo Switch. I tell you how Nintendo will let you know. Don't worry, you will come back to us one way or the other. Nintendo is the original OG of the gaming arena. You cannot hate them for what they do, but later you end up go back and love them for what they have done. But they're being consistent in what they stand on. They had their principle and they stick with it until recently Nintendo Switch 2 was overpriced. They were affordable. With a go-to for your budget. Compared to the two juggernauts were fighting each other with PlayStation and Sega, and PlayStation whooped their behind, and they had a new opponent called Xbox. And now it's safe to say PlayStation has knocked out two competition, both the Sega competition and the Xbox competition. And Nintendo is still here, ain't going nowhere. So imagine that. Throughout the console war, the only constant have been is Nintendo. And you gotta get on that crop, yeah, take your hat off and get the respect. They stood through thick and thin, and at the end of the day, everybody who was pumping their chest fell on the wayside. Sega fell on the wayside. Xbox trying their last hurrah before they fall on the wayside. And when they leave, who you have left? Nintendo and PlayStation, with the both originally from Japan. Ain't that ironic? Yeah, that's my final thought.
All right, before we go, let's get Wally in here really fast because I know he wants to say something.
Oh God.
Wally, what's going on, my man?
That's really old.
So you guys want to say before we close out?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it for this show. Simple. There can only be a few, ladies and gentlemen. There can only be a few.
It's like a Highlander movie.
Hey, it's just the facts. There can only be a few, no matter how you want to string it.
And it's sad though. I forgot about Atari. Their Panasonic 3DO was in the mix. Atari bailed out early. Panasonic said, I can't compete with this. Xbox give up the ghost.
I mean, let's
Now,
be
no,
honest. Mostly any game station that was privy back in the damn days, they all had to surrender and become neither video game optimals that just sells to the other big companies. That's just how it goes. Sega had to sell itself to Nintendo amongst games, aka Sonic and a few others. Atari the same way, and many others. There can only be a few. Nintendo survived, PlayStation survived, Xbox came out of thin air and made a splash. I mean, it's still here, so it don't matter.
Not for long.
Hey, at the end of the damn day, it still is, because regardless, Xbox is what? A PC at the end of the day, so it don't really matter. Like it really don't. Like your Xbox is pretty much your PC. Like, let's keep it real. It has
But Wally, imagine in high
PlayStation 2,
school.
really, actually, if you think about it.
But Wally,
Eh.
PlayStation 2 was not a piece. But think about it, Wally. While we in high school, we got shit on for believing in PlayStation, but Xbox was the thing back. But now all the people who on the Xbox bandwagon, where are they right now?
Wait, you said that one more time?
Before, Xbox was the thing, and everybody just shit on PlayStation, just shit on Nintendo, like they ain't nothing compared to Xbox. And look at it right now, up to the present time. Where are those bandwagon folk who to be on the Xbox bandwagon? Where are they right now?
I don't know. I can't say who's on the bandwagon.
So
Because
they
let's be
tried
honest,
it.
the only one consistent thing about Xbox was you can play the old games on the newer system, whereas PlayStation couldn't do that. You literally, the only way for you to do it is like the downloadables, which they're technically doing now. I mean, they're not remastered, and then even then they would have to remaster or something else. But you couldn't bring the old game from the last station over, which is sort of sucky. And then technically, it's funny because technically back then you actually could in some form or fashion, depending on certain ones. But either which way, it's still like shrug shoulders. It's like shrug shoulders.
But I wish you were here earlier in the conversation because there's a lot of game companies we gotta throw on the bus, like how they failed to even stack up. And Nintendo, you gotta get them props. They're DOG of OG. Even though they betrayed PlayStation, and PlayStation like, okay, we gonna compete with you till we die. They're not dying no time soon. But every other game
PlayStation's not
company,
anywhere anytime soon. I think they're going to be fighting between Nintendo and all the rest of life. I don't think they even give a shit about Xbox anymore at this point.
they don't. But look how many game consoles they destroyed. Atari gave up too early.
It came out before PlayStation came out, so they
I know.
gave up before that.
They lost between the PlayStation and no, they lost between the Sega versus Nintendo. Oh,
Well, there goes your Xbox quote unquote bandwagon.
oh, put up Eric comment. Put up Eric comment.
PlayStation hoodlums.
You put it. You PlayStation hooligans just like to piss on Xbox for the sake of pissing. Yeah, we do.
I mean, look, the only bad thing I can say about Xbox, this is really the only thing, is how the hell you just couldn't lock in your batteries into the fucking controller. Like, I'm sorry. It was the only thing that I have to say, like, legitimately is the only precursor. Because I ain't gonna lie. Xbox was doing y'all dirty. Microsoft was doing y'all dirty out there. Because making y'all force y'all to buy those actual battery packs versus actually connecting the battery packs to the fucking controller. Like, what the fuck?
Oh,
You think that's the only bad thing about play Xbox?
That's the only problem I had with it.
What about was no really good games for it? Maybe it's the start of that. No, it's all the good exclusives are on PlayStation.
Or Nintendo.
That never stopped me from playing Xbox. Because Halo's an exclusive. So
they still make that? I thought they do that.
Halo has always been strong for Xbox. Why do you think they keep doing this?
Yeah. Xbox strong game or
that's the only thing.
Halo. No. Xbox strong game or Halo, Gear of War, and Call of Duty. Those three.
No, Call of Duty both sides.
You can't count Call of Duty because that's cross-platform.
Yeah, that's both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Gear of War? Gear of War was the thing.
Gear of War, I'll give him that. That's the only game I will give him credit because that's the only game I actually liked from Xbox.
But here's the joke. Gear of War was the only game that make guy cheat on their girlfriend. Okay. I know a guy who got a girl, they told and I'm playing game of Gear of War, I turn my phone off. I ain't answering no phone call from my girl. I'm like, they're like, Gear of War came before their girlfriend.
It's not that serious. I'm not. Listen, if I had a chance, the club to cheat
when it came out, when it came out, it did.
Even when it came out,
no,
because
among the brothers.
Go ahead, David.
You were like maybe you, but the brothers I know, they were confessing. If I'm in, she come back another day. I'm into this.
I mean, but the only thing is, as good as Gear of War was, it still wasn't
Gear of War with that kind of game. They were that good.
It was good, but
it was good. It's a good game. I'm not denying that, but I don't think it's that good. I'm not gonna go bang my girl and not bang my girl and play a game instead. No game's that good.
You were in that kind. You were like all the other brothers out there. They would enjoy the entertainment.
I mean, was there even multiplayers for that anyways? Like, was there like
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. So it wasn't really that.
No, I think they were to a degree, but you had to be on the network for that multiplayer.
No, because I had I only got an.
I'll look it up.
I only have what? Hang on, David. I had an Xbox, the original. Got rid of it in 3 days. There was no games for it. The original Xbox, the 360. Everybody had problems with it. I never had even a problem with it. The only problem I had batteries. That's the only issue I really had. But I only played like 3 or 4 games. That's the first game they put a cross-platform for Devil May Cry. I believe it was 4. But I'm saying it was 4. Then I played Gears of War, and that's all I can remember. Uh-oh. Then I picked up PlayStation 4.
I booked my assistant.
No, PlayStation 3.
I booked my assistant.
Oh, well, you got any final words before we go, bro? Yeah. Wally, you got any final words before we go?
Wally, they found final words. I had to take with Wally's advice.
David, shut up for me. Let him talk. You love cutting anybody off. Go ahead, Wally.
I mean, my final words is what I said, pretty much. There can only be a few.
David, you got anything else to add to this before I go over the schedule? Because you love cutting anybody off. No? Okay. So, guys, let's do a quick schedule update. Because this is a conversation will go for hours and hours and hours. So I got to cut these guys off eventually because I got to work tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a gray area, open mic, open panel. You guys can join us. We're just going to shoot the shit and find some fun in the middle. Monday, we're off. And the last show before I go on vacation is second place, no place. Why a man refused to be in the back seat. Just marinate that. David, oh Wallet, you guys going over your show? Please do not take fucking an hour to go over it.
Why would we take an hour?
David loves to talk.
So say, well, then leave that to him. But I mean, if I'm gonna add just a little bit more, I mean, if you were to talk about exclusive games, also we had Forza Motorsports, just like PlayStation had Gran Turismo. So
is that still around? Or to make that game? I'm not being stupid. I'm really serious.
Yeah, they still make it. Well, of course, this is their only like exclusive racing game, so of course they would have.
Okay.
To that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wally, because you're on the mic anyway, do you want to go over your Wednesday show?
The Wednesday show. What is the Wednesday show?
I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I'm going to butcher the name.
Give me a moment because I'm not even on that side.
On Kalechi, the great type.
Okay. Yeah. Well, go ahead, David. Write that down.
David?
That'll be an anime we will break down next week anime, but there's something special about that anime, but
all right. And on Thursday, we'll be going on, Paul and Coach will be going over. We'll be going over Boomer Unrecognized. And next weekend, David and Wally will be taking the ship for a day. Is Superman on Screen, the Man of Steel through the ages. Guys, have a good show next week without me. Yeah, have a good show. I'll pop my head in at some point in. I'll just say hi.
Wait. The Superman show is next week?
Yeah, I'm on vacation next week, dude. I'm gone. Remember we talked about it?
That's why I see. No, I need a break.
What happened, dude?
I didn't know it was this. I didn't know it was this close in. See, I don't barely even have time to do this stuff. Okay.
Trust me, that's how you think how I feel, bro. I totally understand. Except that, guys. David, you got any last final words before we go?
So
what?
Final word, it did have multiplayer for Gear of War. Gear of War, I looked it up. They did have multiplayer up to 2 to 5 players, the co-op. So I was correct. Gear of War, they had that feature.
All right, sucked in.
That was the only game that allowed you to.
Interesting.
It probably sucked. That's why I don't remember it. Wally, what about you?
Well, first and foremost, Eric, you're not at a disadvantage, man. I'm not against Xbox. I'm just saying, bro, we just have to admit it. That shit was janky, bro. It was janky. It just was. But I have nothing against Xbox. I don't know what people be talking about. They can hate it for whatever it is. I mean, granted, yes, they didn't have enough games. They were sharing games, blah, 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 whatever. I still like it for what it is. Because personally, the back buttons were actually a smart play for especially gun games because you really feel like you're pressing a trigger, as in you're pressing a gun trigger. So I actually like that. That's the one thing PlayStation couldn't replicate because that back trigger that they had on PlayStation 3 was a little bit ugly. Literally.
Actually, now they have the pro controller, so.
Well, yeah, their controller now is better, but I'm saying back then that controller was actually.
Oh yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him that. Except.
It's better now, pal. It's better now. Yeah, better now. Better now.
All right.
But as far as last thing to say. And your new champion, baby! The screw jobs of all screw jobs! Oh man! Oh that dick! I'll leave it there.
All right, guys. As always, I am.
If you have a wrestling show next time.
Night one's up, baby. Night one's up. Night two. You better be popping. You better be popping. You suck. I swear for God.
How did you watch SummerSlam?
Hell yeah, I watched SummerSlam.
You watched it.
Hang on, without spoilers.
I didn't watch.
I didn't see anything, good or bad.
Whole show, start to finish, solid. Solid in a number. I can't put in a number yet, but I say it was good. Let's just say this. Everything was nice, decency, flow, certain things that you hope didn't happen, and then towards the end was just a great hitter.
Okay. I'll probably write some relapse. Anyway, guys, as always, I am Spartan. He is like David. He is Wally. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.